week. Every week. All
Welcome to
right, there we
Stories of
go.
Brisco and Bradshaw. I will be Bradshaw, and that would be your Chickasaw native, your Chickasaw Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. And I got one phrase for you. If a man got two hands, he got a chance. That is right. He is Mr. James Ellsworth. James, welcome to the show.
What's up? You didn't introduce me as like a future Hall of Famer?
Yes, actually, Taker's coming on later to surprise you. He's going to tell you about it. But I didn't want
It,
to. I didn't want to tell you that because it's a surprise. Now you ruined
it,
your
it'll
own
be
surprise.
it'll be his esteemed honor. That's what he says, right?
That's right. Yeah, he just did that
Well,
with the
take,
Axe and
take,
Smash,
take,
right?
Taker's got a hell of a job. He just goes around telling people, congratulations, you're doing the Hall of Fame.
Right. And I don't
That's
know
a
how
hell
they
of a
keep
job.
being surprised about it. Every time Taker shows up, if the guy's not in the Hall of
Yeah.
Fame, you would think.
Yeah, you haven't seen Taker in 5 years, and all of a sudden he shows up. What's he showing up for?
And I don't know how he got Axe and Smash on the line, but you got to have some type of way of getting them on the line that they cannot be that surprised.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll call me to tell me that I'm not going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame this year.
Well, I think after we finish this podcast, he'll be calling you. Hunter will probably bypass Taker and call you himself.
That's right. Hunter's going to come on at the end, and he's going to tell you, and then we're going to do the point and picture.
Yeah.
So
Hell,
maybe-
they'll have Braun Strowman call you. Wait a minute, he's not with the company anymore.
Braun Strowman.
So anyway, shut up, Briscoe. That's it for you, John.
Well, James, tell us about how you tell us about you. Tell us about how you got in the wrestling business. Tell us about were you a wrestling fan growing up. Tell us about your youth. You're probably misspent youth.
Yeah, so when I first started watching wrestling, it was the late 80s. I was very young, like 4 or 5 years old. The first wrestlers I remember seeing are very different.
Well, what part of the country, first of all? What, so we'll know kind of geography wise.
I'm in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore. You're not too far from John, then.
That's right.
About an hour, right? Or
Yep, about an hour away, depending on traffic.
Yeah, a lot of traffic
So-
around here, especially his area.
So
Oh.
you kind of had WCW and WWF all together, right?
Yeah, we were very lucky and fortunate. One month we'd have Crockett, and the next month we would have WWF back then, or WWE. We like every month there will be wrestling here in Baltimore, and it'd be one or the other. It was great growing up, going to the shows at the arena. Almost essentially every month.
And
Right.
what was the ones that you liked the most? What was the ones that you watched that you couldn't miss?
So, like I said, the first two wrestlers I remember seeing, and they're very different. One was the Ultimate Warrior in like 1989 when he was first, like maybe a year into the company or his first year. And I'm a 5-year-old kid. I'm like, man, this guy looks so cool. He looks like a superhero, And then I remember turning on Crockett NWA, and like the Rock and Roll Express caught my eye, and they like kind of look like they could be your cool uncle or something, right? Very different from the Ultimate Warrior. So those are the first
Yeah.
wrestlers I remember seeing were the Rock and Roll Express and the Ultimate Warrior at a very young age of like 5 years old.
Now, did you ever go to the shows, or did you just watch on television?
So I grew up in Baltimore in the city. We didn't have cable, but my grandparents like live in a nice suburbs. So when I would go over their house, my grandfather would always record it for me, Saturday Night's Main Event or Superstars or like NWA on TBS, and he would show me the VHSs, the tapes, and then my grandfather would also take me to the events at the Baltimore Arena.
Now, did you?
That Baltimore arena, that place, I mean, it'd seen better days. It still had it. Of all the places we worked, that was one of the places you go back and you talk about historical building. That everybody in the world played there. Rock and rollers, opera singers, all kinds of wrestlers coming in and out of there. So did you mentioned Ultimate Warrior? Was he kind of your favorite guy then growing up?
When I was a kid, yeah, like when I was very young, I mean, you got to think the Ultimate Warrior, like I said, he just looked like a superhero, and he was so cool running to the ring and had the makeup and the hair and just looked larger than life. So caught my eye at a very young age. And then once I got into like my teenage years, but yeah, obviously I got into like Shawn Michaels, like everyone else did, Bret Hart, guys that, subliminally you might not know why you've liked them, but they were so good. That was, like that's why you liked them at that age, like the teenage years.
What bug bit you that you said, man, I'd like to do this. I think I can do this.
It started at a very young age. Like in kindergarten, they have like career day. What do you want to be when you grow up? And everyone was dressed up as like a doctor or a lawyer, and I dressed up as a wrestler. Like, in kindergarten, I'm like
Don't tell me you had tassels on your arms like those
Yes,
boys.
yes. Like, and I had a little Hulk Hogan but bandana. My dad got me to wear wear it to the career day, and I said I'm gonna be a wrestler when I grow up. It's a very young
A
age.
funny story like that. Jack Lanza met my son Wes when Wes was doing wakeboard. He was, a world class wakeboarder. And Jack said one day he said, I've watched videos of that sport. Wes is really good at it. I said, yeah, but he needs a gimmick. I said, yeah. He said, tell him put tassels on his arm. Tell him put tassels on his boots. I said, Jack, no. He said, no. He needs a gimmick that looks so cool while he's up in the air and the tassels falling around. But I never told Wes to do that.
That would be pretty cool.
It would be, you think about it, but I just thought it was a little hokey for wakeboarding.
I was sitting with Ultimate Warrior one time in the airport, and he had a Halliburton with the Warrior logo on it. He had a jacket with the Warrior logo on it. He had tassels around his blue jean jacket arms, and he had some type of bandana, some of his hair down, everything. And he's sitting there, and he goes, "I don't know why these marks won't leave me alone."
And he self-promoted himself the
I
whole
thought he was
time.
ribbed. I just started laughing. I looked at him. He's dead serious. I don't know either. You're a walking freaking billboard.
Yeah, how do these people know who I am?
Yeah.
It's
So
funny because
did you go to see Ron Simmons when he won the title in 83? Not
no,
93, 93.
I think it was
Yeah,
the early
he's gonna kill me for saying 83.
I think it was 90, must have been 90. It was
92 or 93, I think it
90,
was.
92 or yeah, I was there though. I was a very young kid. And
Really?
I remember kids in the crowd crying, like it was a huge moment in the history of wrestling, as we all know. And it happened right there in Baltimore against Vader. Yeah, I was like I think 8 or 9 years old. I remember it vividly thow. Yeah, it was a
No,
cool
no,
moment.
you were crying because Vader lost.
Absolutely. I was a
I'm
big
gonna
Vader
tell
fan.
Ron.
No, please.
Have you
Oh
told
God.
Ron you were there?
Yeah, I've obviously I've been around Ron a lot. And yeah, I told him I was there. I think I've told him a couple times, and he always puts a big smile on his face. Obviously, Ron's a great guy, and
Yeah,
yeah, I've mentioned it a few times to him.
yeah.
That's a pretty cool moment to be at.
Absolutely.
You know,
So as you're growing,
we've had so many guys on, and apparently the crowd at Madison Square Garden must have been about 300,000 people because every wrestler in the world was at Jimmy Snuka's match when he jumped off the cage.
Yeah. Well, a lot of
Everybody we
wrestlers.
talked to, oh yeah, I was there. I'm sure some were there. There's no doubt about it, but not everybody.
Well, I wasn't there because I think it was like a year or two before I was born, so I wasn't there.
Okay, so you're not claiming Jimmy Snuka, but you
No,
are saying that you were there for Ron Simmons.
I was there for Ron Simmons when he won the
well,
WCW title against Vader. Yes, I was.
well, out of all of them, I'd rather been there for Ron Simmons than the others.
Absolutely.
Did you know how big it was at the time?
Well, Ron he was a baby face at the time, but when you're that age, you're rooting for the baby faces. And to me, yeah, 8, 9 year old kid, I knew that it was a baby face winning the title. I didn't know like how big it was for the wrestling business that a guy of color for the first time was winning a world title. And my grandfather, who I'd mentioned, brought me to all the shows. Did on the ride home tell me how significant of a moment that was, how I just witnessed history and how big it was for the African American community and all that. And I remember, like I said, being 8 or 9 years old, going, "Wow, that's cool." I saw like a moment in a history, a big wrestling moment. It's awesome.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is cool. And it's so neat when being at signing, so many people come up to Ron and tell him how much that meant to him. That was a big deal.
Absolutely.
So when did you first start thinking, this is something I might be able to do?
Yeah, well, like I said, when I was just from a very young age, when I was 5, but and
Now,
I
5 years old, you're not saying this is. I mean, you're saying that, but
right.
you think you're wishful thinking. But as you get up to your teenage years, this is something more that I think I could do.
Well, when I was 11, so I turned the same age as WrestleMania every year. So WrestleMania 11, I remember watching Shawn Michaels walk to the ring with Jenny McCarthy. And I just thought to myself, like that's the
That'd
age you
make
start.
me want to be a wrestler.
Yeah, right. I was
Yeah.
like, I was like,
He
look
is
how cool this.
beautiful.
Yeah, I was like, look how cool this guy is. He's walking to the ring with this beautiful woman. He looks awesome. He's like the best wrestler in the world at the time. I was like, I want to do this when I grow up. So we're gonna fast forward just a little bit, real quick. At WrestleMania 33, I walked to the ring with Carmella. I was like, I did it. I was
Did do it.
All right.
You did do it.
and I tweeted that out and tagged Shawn Michaels. I said when I was at WrestleMania 11, when I was watching, I said this is what I wanted to do when I grow up. Walk to the ring at WrestleMania with a beautiful woman. I said not only did I do it, I walked to the ring with even a more beautiful woman than Shawn Michaels did, and he retweeted it and said, "Yes, you did. Congratulations." That was cool.
That's
That's
awesome.
great.
So when did it become something that you was more than just say I kind of want to do that? When did you decide that was it high school that you started to decide hey I want to be in professional wrestling?
Well, for me, when I was 15, I saw, and this is why promoting is very important. I saw a poster on a telephone pole for an independent wrestling show when I was 15 years old, and had like King Kong Bundy on it and Nikolai Volkov, and I was like, wow, these are guys I saw when I grew up. They're going to be in my town. This is awesome. So I went to the independent wrestling show, and they had like a table there to sign up for wrestling school. And I'm only 15 at a time, so I had 2 more years before I graduated high school. Luckily for me, my parents were very strict on education, and you got to graduate. So I remember taking the brochure, and I told the owners, I said, yeah, when I graduate, I'm signing right up. I'm gonna, save up my money. I'm gonna sign up for wrestling school. And they were like, oh, okay. And lo and behold, I graduated when I was 17, and 4 days after I graduated, I took my graduation money, like the money all my family members gave me for graduating. I took that and paid for the wrestling school 4 days after I graduated high school.
How
Now,
much
how'd you
was it?
find the wrestling school, and how much was it?
Well, it was $2,500, and
Wow, that
like
was
I
a
said,
lot back then.
yeah, and this is like 2002. And like I said, I went to an independent wrestling show, and they had a table for brochures for the wrestling school, and I took one 2 years before I ever signed up because I had to finish high school. And yeah, I just stuck with it. I said this is what I'm gonna do. And back then, I'm small now, but back then I was like 120 pounds and like just
Wow.
very small, and I remember my first day of wrestling school, I asked a stupid question, like, oh, how hard is it? Like, what chance do I have to get in WWE? Just be honest with me. Like, what do I have a chance? And they're like, you got about a 1% chance. And I go, oh, okay, that's all I need, just 1%.
That's
That's
right. You
all
got
I
a
need.
chance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
a chance. That's
Hmm.
awesome. So
Now,
I've been 120 pounds. I mean, I know it hurt me at 200 pounds, and probably hurt John at 350 pounds when he started. But did the bumps hurt you back then when you were taking those bumps in some of those hard independent rings?
Oh yeah, anyone that says it didn't is lying, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
when you're taking those bumps. I remember after training, after my first couple of days of training, there was like a Burger King down the street. And I remember going there and sitting there one day after training, going, "Man, this is really hard." And then I thought to myself, like, "Man, I just paid $2,500 for this. I'm not quitting." It's
Yeah.
just not happening. So
Uh,
I just kept at it.
who were your coaches?
So when I first started, Axel Rotten, who was an ECW original, was one of the coaches, and then the wrestling school I went to actually like MCW that we just did with my promotion just did with Fan Jam this past weekend. They had a school, and I trained there for a year, and then they took a little hiatus, and then I went on the road with Axel and would like train before the shows and be in the car with him. And Axel Rotten was a guy, like I said, he was an ECW, but he was, and there's like Paul Heyman interviews that say this. He was a very smart guy about the business. No one really knew it because he did the death match stuff, and that's how he became famous. But he was very intelligent about the business. He did the Memphis stuff way before any of the death match stuff. And I would go on the road with him and just listen to his stories and just listen to him teach and get in the ring with him before shows. And man, like he was awesome.
was
See, Axel,
ECW a thing at the time, or was ECW going promoting shows?
ECW had just folded a year before I got in the business, so he was out doing indies and training people
Okay.
with at my school and all at the time.
was Axel the one that passed away? Ian's still alive, right?
Yeah, Axel, fortunately he had his demons. Him and I had a lot in common, but not that. We liked the same music, we liked the same movies, like he loved wrestling, but yeah, he had his demons. He, doing that death match stuff, you should get hurt a lot. So then you start taking stuff, and then unfortunately for him, he got addicted and couldn't shake it, and and it did cost him his life in the end. So.
Yeah. He was in Texas with Ian when they first started. Came down to Texas when me and Bobby were first getting started.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. He's told me all those stories, man. He, like I said, he started in the early 90s. So he was around a while before he ever started training me. And, man, I learned so much from him. It was amazing.
So was he running
Was
the
there any?
school?
He was, well, no, like he didn't own the school, but he was like the head trainer. Like he would, and then we had other trainers, guys, local guys that were real good. Joey Matthews was there a lot, who later became, Joey Mercury in the WWE.
Right.
There was a woman named Alexis Lurie there that later became Mickey James. So we had a lot of
Wow.
good people come through. Yeah.
That for sure.
You put me by Mickey last night. Was it last night? 2 nights ago.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
She's awesome.
welcome.
I love Mickey.
You're welcome.
Yeah, oh no, she's fantastic. I've always liked Mickey. She's just a fun person.
Absolutely. She's one of the best, man. Just always positive. Just an amazing, like I joke about the Hall of Fame all the time because of my character, but she truly deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame for
She
sure.
does. Absolutely, she does. There's no doubt.
I love her. I love her music too. I think she's a really talented lady on the
Yeah, I think
microphone.
she's very talented.
Yeah, she's very talented at a lot of things, and anything she tries, she does amazing at. I worked with her a little bit over the weekend. She like special refereed the girls' match, and I would do run-ins. We had a lot of fun with it, and it's always a pleasure to be around her for sure.
Yeah, she had this real long line, and somebody was wanting to take a picture, and they asked Mickey to take the picture. So she, Mickey, I said, Mickey, don't do that. Mickey goes, no, I'll take the picture. I just knew she'd probably take it of herself or something, like as the boys would do, but she apparently did a good job with it.
Yeah, she's
Now,
awesome.
as you're training and everything, when you're saying you're riding around with Axel, when did they put you in the ring? How long had you been working? And actually, I'd love to ask you, how smart were you? Because a lot of guys that get in the ring, they don't know anything at all except get in the ring and work.
Man, back then, those were like the last years of it was hard, right? Like you had to really earn it. You had to really work hard. You had to really train hard. And for me, it was just a small guy. Like it was still like at the tail end of you had to be big. You had to be larger than life. So it took me a while. Like I would say to get decent at it, it took me like 7 or 8 years before I got decent at it. Like and just learning and taking all the information in, being in dressing rooms. Like I would run into like Shane Douglas and pick his brain, or Ricky Morton, or Matt Hardy, or whoever was like doing indie matches at the time. I would see guys that did well in the business, and I would always want to talk to them about the business because I figured the more information I can get from those guys who have been successful, the more maybe it might help me become successful. You know,
And during that time, did you go straight from high school to professional wrestling? Did you go to college at all, or you decide, hey, this is what I'm going to do?
man, I did a year of college while I was wrestling training, and I was working like a job back then too. Like so I was trying to do all three. And I was like, man, burning myself out at a young age. I was like, man, I gotta quit 2 out of 3 of this. So I quit college and I quit working. Just to get with the wrestling. So
Well,
yeah,
me and Mr. Briscoe understand. We're a couple of college dropouts, so we
Yeah.
understand
me
very well.
too. Me too. Yeah, did 1 year. Did 1 year.
Were your parents upset at you?
Man, yeah. Like
Oh
they
yeah.
the old school stuff. Oh, you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna break your neck. This is just a hobby. You're never gonna make it. And
What
all
are
the
you
joke.
going to do if you get hurt? Right? What are you going to do if you get hurt?
Yeah, it's you got to have a backup plan. But man, I always was of the mindset of you get one life and you got to do what makes you happy. Because you're here, you get one shot at this, I believe, and
Yeah.
wrestling made me happy, so that's what I wanted to do.
And where all were you
So
working
you
at the time? Were you making enough to make a living?
No, I had to eventually get a job again. I never went back to college, but I did get a job, and I would wrestle on weekends, and I would train as much as possible. Any free time I had, like I devoted to the wrestling business. Like I just wanted to do it. Like I just wanted to be around it. I just wanted to absorb as much information I could about it. I just always loved it so much. Still to this day, I love it so much.
So, what was your first gimmick?
So at first, I didn't really have a gimmick. I like named myself Jimmy Dream because wrestling was my dream. And after a
My Jimmy.
while, Yeah, Jimmy Dream.
Why Jimmy?
Little Jimmy in the crowd. Remember little Jimmy?
Yeah, I was hoping maybe they would pick me for that, to be the little Jimmy that R-Truth was talking about.
That would have been awesome too.
To have a real live one. But eventually I teamed up with a guy and his name was Adam Ugly, so I started calling myself Pretty Jim. Yeah.
Adam
So
Ugly.
I was Pretty Jimmy, and obviously I'm not pretty, so that was the heat, right? And his name was Adam Ugly, and together we were Pretty Ugly. Pretty Jimmy and Adam Ugly, Pretty Ugly, and we were a tag team. It was cool.
That's actually a great name for a team. Pretty Ugly.
Yeah, Pretty Jimmy and Adam Ugly, Pretty Ugly. And I would put mascara on, and I would wear like fishnets and like look all flamboyant, like Adrian Street or something, like Adrian Adonis and all these guys. And a guy Adam Ugly, he was like real out of shape and nasty, picking his nose. It was a great gimmick. But we're just, he was like short and kind of not in great shape, and I'm short and not in great shape, not like him. He was a little thicker, but but it was a fun gimmick. We worked with the Rock and Roll Express. We worked with Mark and Jay, the Briscoe brothers. So we Balls and Axel. We worked with a lot of good tag teams in that time, but we just I'm 5'8", he was 5'6". Like it was just hard for us to get our name out there more than just an awesome gimmick.
So this is before, I believe, online shopping. So did you have to go to the store to buy your fishnet stockings?
Yes, I did. So I didn't have to go to the stores you're probably thinking about. Hot Topic did have them, so I would go to Hot Topic in the mall and pick them up.
What is Hot Topics?
It's still around. It's a store that kids go to, and they sell wrestling shirts in there, but they sell like T-shirts of bands, and they sell all kinds of like gothic stuff, right? Like for the people that like to wear gothic things, and they would always have fishnets, and I would go in there and buy like 10 of them at a time to wear to the ring.
Did you stick them deep in the bag so you could walk out of the mall with them?
No, I don't care. Like I just buy them and put them in the bag. Like I don't. It's weird, man. Like I'm just never worried about what people would say. Like I remember you would like burn me, like tear me up with commentary, right? I always laugh with you about it. And man, like relatives and friends will call me, man, doesn't that bother you? I'm like, no, I love it. I think it's hilarious. It's helping me get over too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So many people don't realize that. We had a guy one time and they wanted to push him. We talked about him almost the whole battle royal. And he goes, "Hey, you made fun of me." I said, "Yeah, I talked about you. You're the only person people remember." He goes, "Well, I wish you wouldn't make fun of me." Okay. I'll never talk about you again. And I didn't. I just, fine. People don't understand that. You figure out, you talk about guys, and that's how you get them over. People remember that stuff.
Absolutely.
Because you had such a great look, and you were so good at what you did.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that, man. Just the way it all went down, I enjoyed my whole time there. Like, man, these guys, when they leave WWE and they go on the internet or they go on interviews like this and they start bashing WWE, I'm like, are you crazy? Like, what, these people made you a star. They made action figures of you, put you in video games. You made a lot of money. Like, what's wrong? Like, they didn't use you the way you thought they should have. Like, what? You know what I mean? Right. I always think that's nuts when people talk, like, bash it when they leave. I always think that's crazy.
Yeah, I've always.
So how many matches were you getting a week? Or were you getting Friday and Saturday usually, 2 matches a week, or are you getting more?
Well, right now, yeah, I do about 2 or 3 a week.
No, when you were starting up.
Oh, when I started, yeah, I would take, man. So every Tuesday night in Hagerstown, Maryland, they would have matches with John Rambo. He had a school, and I would go down there and wrestle every Tuesday night. Then if I wasn't booked on a show on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, I would find a show to go to and just, they say showing up's 90% of the battle. I would go to a show and try to get on, help out any way I could. Like I wanted to be around it as much as I possibly could, and that's what I did. Even if I wasn't booked, I would, like I said, I would go to a show and try to get booked.
Yeah. So how did the journey finally happen where you got the call to try out with WWE?
Well, it was odd. You guys remember Adam Rose when they were doing that gimmick with the Rosebuds?
Yeah.
So
you were a Rosebud, right?
Yes. I saw they were using a lot of indie guys, and I was like, man, how do you do that? How do you become like an enhancement talent or like, an extra? Like, how do you? So someone gave me like the email. They're like, hey, just email this person, and I emailed that person, and they were like, yeah, we need guys for this date, this date, this date. And I was like, oh, it was that easy? Like, and So I went there and I was a Rosebud a couple of times, and I was always respectful. I didn't bother anybody. I didn't ask for pictures with the Undertaker. Stuff you shouldn't do when you go, because I knew the business, so I knew not to be respectful and shake hands and just do what you're told. So they would always call me back when they would be in the Baltimore area for to be an extra. And then we were in Pittsburgh, July of 2016, and Arn Anderson was the agent. Like they needed somebody to do an enhancement match with Braun Strowman, and Arn Anderson came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you're the smallest guy here." He goes, "This guy's real big. We want to make him look like a monster." He's like, "Just throw a punch for me real quick," and I threw a punch. He goes, "Okay, you got the match," and it was like
Oh,
that quick.
I got to ask you this.
Yeah,
Did you throw a punch on Arn, or did he get somebody there to throw a punch
no,
on?
he had
Because you
me
walk
do
up
it.
to somebody, throw a punch, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
What he had me do it on one of the other extras. Then he
Okay.
asked me to do it on Strowman in the ring before the show. He went, he wanted to see if like because he loved the way I threw a punch.
Want
He
to see
wanted to
if
see,
your reach
yeah,
can get up.
he wanted to see if it was a fluke. He said, so
He
I threw it
obviously
on.
didn't care if you tatered him because he didn't take the punch himself.
But
Yeah.
he said that. He said you can hit him. He said he's so big too, you can hit him probably as hard as you want. He's not going to feel it. And I remember going, man, I get a match on Raw. This is crazy. And then like how you guys obviously worked with WWE forever. Like an hour before the match, they come to me and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do this thing with Strowman every week where guys say their last words before he kills them, because we're gonna do this every week with enhancement talent for like 6 weeks. So you get to cut a promo for like 60 seconds. Here it is, and they gave me the promo, and I remember looking at it, and I couldn't believe I even asked this, but Jimmy Jacobs, who was the writer, and I love Jimmy Jacobs, and I said, man, I'm punching him twice. I said, is there a way I can say any man with two hands has a fighting chance? Because I know I'm punching him twice. He goes, yeah, knock yourself out. That sounds cool. And he could have said no, and I would have never said it. And that's what people remember from that promo was like actually the line I came up with. So luckily he said yes, because if he would have said no, I would have never said it. So that was very lucky and fortunate.
Yeah, and it stuck. You just sometimes you say things. Like it's like Heath Slater. Was totally impromptu when he said, "I got kids." With
And
Brock.
he,
Yeah.
Just sometimes when he says stuff, and a lot of times it's that way. So many times, few things that are planned go, "How this is going to catch on? This is going to catch on." Rarely ever catches on.
yeah, that was like such an amazing day because after the match and the match is 90 seconds long. It's an enhancement match, and I got to throw a punch twice on the offense I got. Then Strowman ran through me, but after the match, I go to the back and Orange said, "Man, you did a great job." He goes, "Vince wants to see you," and I thought he was kidding. I just started laughing. He goes, "No, I'm serious. Vince wants to see you," and I said, "Man, like, did I do something wrong?" Because the enhancement talent was like back in those days. I don't know if they still do it. You're supposed to walk side ramp to the ring, not down.
Yeah.
Like when I went through the curtain, I was just so nervous. I walked down the ramp and I got in the ring, and the referee was like, "You weren't supposed to walk down the ramp." I was like, "Oh my god!" and so when I was going to see Vince, I thought he was going to yell at me for walking down the ramp. That's what I thought this was about. And I went to the gorilla, and I'm like scared to death. And Vince got up, took his headset off, started walking towards me, and he said, "Hey, your facial expressions were great. Your selling was great. I loved your promo." He goes, "I'm probably going to hire you." And then he just said, "We'll be in touch." And he just walked away. I was like, "What? What just happened?" I was like, What just happened here?" It was amazing, man. It's so crazy.
And he says, "I'm probably going to hire you."
Yeah, just like
Wow.
and after the show, I'm driving, and you guys remember Sticks, the referee,
Who?
at WWE? They called him Sticks,
Yeah, yeah,
skinny
yeah, yeah,
guy.
yeah. Sure. Yeah,
Yeah, so he's a friend of mine that we went to wrestling school together, and he
yeah.
was refereeing there at the time. He called me. He goes, "Hey man, Chris Jericho wants to talk to you." And hand Chris Jericho the phone. He goes, "Hey man, he was like, you were great." He goes, I'm going to push for you to get hired." And then he like gave Enzo the phone, and Enzo was like, "Hey, I was in Gorilla. Well, like he was the match after me." And he was like, Vince was like popping for you. He's like, you're going to be a star. They're going to hire you." And I'm like, what is going on? Like, you got to think you're just an indie guy that's doing an enhancement talent match, and you're thinking this is the best it's ever going to get for you, right? This is the biggest thing that's ever going to happen to you in your life as far as your profession goes. And then all these guys like Chris Jericho, who I love and respect, Enzo, who I thought was real hot at the time with Kaz, real cool, and Vince McMahon himself. So I'm driving to the next town because SmackDown was the next day, and I was an enhancement talent the next day. And I'm going, what is like, are they just all kidding? Like, is this a rib? Like, is this just a joke? Like, what is going on? And like a month later, Vince hired me. It's just an amazing thing, man. Like,
How did you get hired? Who called you?
I remember Road Dogg, and John Cohn were the two in touch with me for like the whole month. Like a week later, and this is what I learned very early into my WWE experience, that things change quick. A week later, you brought up Heath Slater, and he was doing that was when he first started that gimmick with the kids, and he wasn't drafted from SmackDown, which I heard you had like some like Heath always
Yeah,
put you over, said you had a lot to do with that,
yeah,
like
yeah,
coming
no
up with
idea.
that. Then they were going to have me wrestle him at SummerSlam, which was a couple of weeks later, and the winner gets a SmackDown contract, right? Like, and this was supposed to be easy for Heath to win, and then I was going to win, like he was going to lose, but then John Cone hit me back a couple days before the SummerSlam. He's like, "Hey, we're not going with it. He's getting over as a baby face. Like they kind of want you to be a baby face too, so we're not going to do this." So very early on, I was like, "Oh, things change fairly quick," and I was like, "Oh man, I don't get to do SummerSlam." Like it's so crazy how everything just quickly came together when all that went down.
That would have been a heck of a gimmick. That'd have been a good match. That'd have
Yeah,
been
it'd have
fun.
been fun. It had been fun. We just recently did an indie show wrestling each other. We had so much fun with it. He's great, as you know.
Oh, he's the
He's
best.
so
I
much
love
fun.
Heath.
So much fun.
So, who was the one that finally called you that says you got a job?
Road Dog.
Yeah.
Right. I remember like just the chills. He called me. He goes, "All right, man. We'll see you at TV Tuesday." He goes, "We'll have a contract ready for you." And I'm
Wow.
like, like I was still at my shoot job because I try to be a very humble guy, right? I'm still like working my shoot, even though like Vince McMahon's telling me he's hiring me, and like Chris Jericho saying he's going to push for me, and Chris Jericho did push for me a lot. Daniel Bryan as well was pushing for me, but like even though all that was happening, I was like, no, in case this doesn't happen, I'm keeping my shoot job, and like I was at work when Road Dogg told me. And I went right to my boss's office and just put in my 2 weeks. Again, humble guy. I could have quit right there, right? And I was like, "Hey, I think I got to put in my 2 weeks. Going to WWE Tuesday," and they just told me they're going to hire me. Like it was amazing, amazing part of my life for sure.
Yeah.
I got to answer this question here. You get a lot of guys a contract to you. You tell them, have an attorney or somebody look them over before you sign it. Did you go through that mode, or did you just sign the contract?
Man, like everything was happening so quickly. I was just happy to be there, right? Like this was yeah. I was at that point. I'd been wrestling 14 years. Just let the information people would tell me, "Oh man, it's so hard to make it there." Look, like turn on the TV, look at Money Right Raw, then look at yourself in the mirror. That's going to be very hard for you. I would always let that information go in one ear and out the other. So 14 years of that, right? And then I didn't care to look over a contract. I would have signed anything,
Yeah.
at the time. At the time, right? Like I was just happy to be there.
Now we don't want to know the answer to this as far as what the number was, because that's not why I'm asking. But did Road Dogg give you the number as far as how much you're going to get paid and all that stuff when he first talked to you?
No, no, that was when Mark Carano was there, and then when they made like so very quickly they made a T-shirt of me, and it was like the number one seller for a few weeks,
Yeah,
and I remember getting the check for that, and it was money, man, I'd never seen in my life, right? I was like, what?
that's
Like
awesome.
everything just happened so quickly, I couldn't process.
So
You know,
so
it,
when Road Dogg said we're going to give you a contract, but he didn't tell you the money or anything, so you
no.
just said okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I'll see you guys Tuesday. I didn't.
Awesome. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that they were, no one was getting lowball there at the time, or anything. I didn't
No,
care. Like
no,
I
no.
didn't even. No, they pay very well, and that's another thing. Like, you see people that used to work there going online bashing the pay. I'm like, you get paid more than most jobs in the entire world. Like I don't know. Again, back to that. I think that's nuts when people bash after they
And,
leave.
and those first merch checks you get there, that's something. It's quite a feeling, isn't it? When you get the first merch check, wow, I did that, and I didn't even have to work for it.
Yeah, I think they made the shirt like kind of like a joke, right? Just to be fun. And then it like was the number one seller for a couple of weeks. And I don't think it was too funny to them anymore. It was like outselling everybody. It was like so crazy, man. It was such a blast. Like especially when I first got there, I was babyface and doing that goofy character, and I was having so much fun with it because I like, John's, I see John a lot at signings now. We rode together a few times. He'll tell you I just like to have fun and joke around and be funny. So I got to do that on TV. I got to essentially be myself, which they always say if you be yourself times 10 on television, like you'll get over. And essentially that's what I was doing. Was just being goofy and having fun. And acting the way I would act anyway. So it was great.
Did you have much interaction with Vince after that?
So
After he got signed?
at first, yeah, but like the first couple of months when I was doing the stuff with AJ and Dean Ambrose, who was now John Moxley, obviously, that was main event stuff. Like they were like, feuding over the title, and I was the gimmick in between them. And so had a lot of interaction with them then, because obviously I know you know this, like the main event guys, he really interacts with more than anything, because that's the top of the card. So I for the first 3 months I was there doing TV and all that, like every week I would interact with them, and man, the feedback you would get from him would be so amazing to hear. He was just such a genius. I always tell people, like, if you think about it, he's the only person in the history of the world that made $1 billion with a B off of this wrestling stuff. No one else has ever done that. Made billions off of
Right.
professional wrestling. It's just him. So man, like when he would talk, I would just zone in and listen. And yeah, so I interacted with him a lot. And then the Carmella stuff, like when I was with her, once that started getting hot, he got interested in it and like would interact with us a lot as well. And he was very complimentary, like would compliment me a lot. Say, "Oh, you have good instincts," and this and that. Like he was so cool to work for. I had a blast working for him.
How was your friends and family reacting to seeing you on TV? Wow, this is awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They, very supportive. Like my parents, who hated the fact that I ever started wrestling and wanted to be to go to college or the military or whatever. Like I always joke with them. Now they have like my action figures hanging up in their living room, so they changed their tune about it for sure. So yeah.
And with AJ Styles, what was your thoughts when they first told you you're going over on AJ?
Man, so I got the building that day, and I like, things change. The Miz had beat me up on TV the last time they saw me, and I thought I was wrestling the Miz. And when I got to the building, I like to study, man. I was watching Miz matches on YouTube for like, the whole time I was on the plane. It was from Baltimore to San Jose, California. It's like a 5-hour plane ride. So I'm just YouTubing Miz matches. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be so easy. He's such an easy worker. And then I get to the building. They're like, hey, and AJ was the champion at the time. They're like, hey, you're wrestling AJ tonight. It's a non-title match. Dean Ambrose is going to wind up being the special referee, and we're going to have you go over and then do a title match next week. This will be good television. And Adam Pierce was the first one to tell me that, because he was a producer and an agent. I think he still is. I know he does the TV role as general manager. And I was like, I thought he was kidding. I was like, yeah, right. They ain't gonna have me beat AJ Styles. And then I sat down in catering, and AJ sat next to me. He's like, hey man, me and you tonight. This will be fun. And I'm like, and I respected AJ Styles so much, like I got instantly nervous. I was like, wait a minute, they're putting me in the ring with AJ Styles, who at the time, no one could touch him in the ring at the time. He was the
Yeah,
best
that's
wrestler
true.
in the world at the time.
Yeah,
It
And I was
still
like,
is.
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah, he still is.
and I was like so like, oh my God, like I got so nervous so quickly. But once, then I got to work with AJ a lot after that. But after that first match, AJ is such an awesome, humble, amazing human being. Like it became easy to work with him because he was just so cool, as a person, so phenomenal as a person, just phenomenal inside the ring as he is outside the ring as he is inside the ring. And he was amazing, made me feel real comfortable. I'm glad I got to work with him my first couple of months there. And like I see him here and there, talk to him here and there. Don't see him much, don't talk to him much. But every time I do, I always tell him how much I appreciated him being so cool to me when I first got there.
Yeah, AJ was. I've always thought he was this generation's Shawn Michaels. I just think he's that good. He's just. I've never seen him have a bad match. He's that good. I don't. I wish he hadn't retired. Because he's still to me at the top of his game. I don't know if he's hurt or what his reasons were, but I'm sure he has them. That's his business. He's had a great career, but I kind of hate to see him retire because he's so freaking good.
Oh, he's awesome. Well, he said in like interviews after that he wanted to hurry up and stop before he lost a step or before he, slowed down. He didn't want people to remember. He wants people to remember him how he is, just amazing. And he didn't want to like go out there and get to the point where he was going to embarrass himself. And he said he felt like he was almost there, which obviously all of us looking at it are going, no way, like you're still awesome, But I think that's a great reason. And, that's what he said in interviews. And anybody that got to know him, like that's definitely would be a reason he would, for him to stop doing it would be that reason. And yeah, what a great career. Had a lot of fun working with him. And I couldn't ask for a better guy to work with when I first got there,
Well,
for
especially
sure.
since he's putting you over. Of course, you like working with him.
But
Yeah.
but they kept doing it every week for like 3 weeks. I'm like, what? Even me, I'm like, what's going on? And yeah, the ratings were always like they would tell me like, hey, like when you guys are in the ring together, like we're popping good numbers, so we're gonna do it a couple more times. And I was like, that's awesome, man. Like, and yeah, it was. I did a ladder match with them where they had like my contract on the line, and it's like in Ottawa, Canada, I believe. And yeah, just so much fun. Like, what an amazing time for me, for sure.
Yeah, it was a cool angle to have. The whole storyline thing. It was just, and it was unexpected. It was just unexpected that you're going to beat him because he was so
Right.
good. You know, Plus nobody beats the champ. That was not just you. Nobody beats the champ.
Yeah, it's my and like my friends would text me, all wrestling fans are all like, "Do you realize you're like just beating the WWE champion every?" And it would be like different things. Like the first was a non-title match where Moxley was the ref, so he helped me win. Then the second, AJ got like we had a WWE title match, and AJ got himself DQ because he wouldn't stop beating me up. So he like the 5 count happened with the referee, and he disqualified him. And then the ladder match was for my contract, and I wound up getting the contract and winning that. So it was all different ways and all like, gimmick stuff and just so much fun, man. Like just a great time for sure. I loved it.
Yeah, as you're rolling along, it's everybody's dream to have that WrestleMania moment, that pay-per-view moment when you finally got your opportunity. How was that presented to you?
Well, the whole Carmella thing happened. We were overseas and I was still doing the stuff with AJ and Dean Ambrose. And she came up to me and we shook hands a few times. I never really talked to her. And she came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you know what they're doing with you after you're done with the AJ Styles Dean Ambrose angle?" I said, "Hey, I don't ask questions. I just got here. I'm just happy to be here." She goes, "Well, I'm gonna go to Vince. What if I pitch like for you to be with me and like I'm using you, I'm making you think that I like you to help me win matches?" I was like, "Well, that's a cool idea." I said, "Yeah, go pitch it." She's like, "Okay, I just wanted to ask you first. I didn't know if they had plans for you or if you would want to do this." And I said, "No, I got." So a couple days later, after we got the TV, Carmella came to me. She goes, "Hey, I went and told Vince this idea, and he absolutely loves it." And man, it happened quickly because he loved the idea. Like 3 weeks later, I was with her, and so yeah, that's how. Fast forward, that's how WrestleMania happened. She had a women's title match on WrestleMania, and I got to come out with her. And my moment in the match was Becky Lynch winded up giving me like her Bexploder move in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania, so I got to have a little moment. So yeah, obviously, just again, just an amazing time in my life for sure.
Where was WrestleMania that year?
Orlando, it's at the Camping World Stadium,
Yeah.
and it was about probably 98 degrees out that day, and I had a spray tan on, and we went out. We were the right before the main event, like the little cooler match before the main event, And I remember that was like at 11 o'clock at night because that's back when WrestleMania was just one night, and the show was like four and a half
Oh, it was
hours long.
brutal.
Yeah, and so my whole spray tan was like sweated off by the time I ever went out there. So that was a waste of money. But yeah, just what a wonderful experience, and I really got to take it all in as I was walking down the ramp and everything. And so a moment I'll never forget for sure.
Yeah, it's always so cool to have that WrestleMania moment. You got to have one. No matter what, you got to have a WrestleMania moment sometime in your career. That's a cool thing to have happen. How long did you stay with Carmella after that?
Oh, it was we winded up. So I remember the writers going, "Hey, this thing could be 6 weeks. This could be 6 months. We don't know." We winded up doing 13 months, and when we got to that the first ever women's Money in the Bank, when we got there in June of 2017, I remember telling Carmella, like beforehand, because I followed wrestling my whole life, so I was still following along with the stories they were telling. So I remember telling her like the night before, I said, "Hey, I haven't heard anything." I said, "But I feel like they're gonna have me help you win the Money in the Bank. Like I feel like that's what they're gonna do, just following the story." She goes, "Nah, they're not gonna do that. This is the first women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Like they wouldn't have a guy like help a girl win it." I said, "No, I think that's why they would do it. Because it's heat, right?" She goes, "Nah." So the next day, John Laurinaitis came up to us. He was helping produce the match, And he said just that. He goes, they're gonna do this. You guys are gonna have a waterfall. Everybody hits a bunch of moves. Everyone's down, and James slides in the ring, tries to get Carmella up, and then he just looks up and goes, "Wait, everyone's down. I could just go get this." And I went up, and if you go back and watch the footage, the crowd's like cheering loud as I'm going up to get it. They're going nuts. But as soon as I grab it, they pop. But as soon as I drop it down to her, the boos came. So I always figured the crowd wanted me to grab it, probably take it and run through the crowd. It'd be goofy and like, oh, he has it. He took off with it. But once I gave it to her, that was the heat. They started booing. And we already had the second one. So Lauren Knight has told us when I was helping her win it that we're going to do another one on SmackDown a week later. And Papa Rating, like on SmackDown is what he said. He's like, oh, this is, we'll do another one. And, when Carmelo kind of just win it again with a little bit of your help, but not like this. So a lot of people, how online is, they make their own stuff up. They were like, oh, they had to do a second one because that one was too controversial and they got a lot of bad backlash. Nah, they already they always had the second one planned, so it was cool.
Right. And then the second one, and then now you've got the character with Carmella, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was, man. We had a lot of fun with that. We were pretty tight while we were doing that. And now I see her at signings, and we always reminisce about those days. The stuff like I miss. They don't do as many house shows now. I used to love doing house shows. They were just so fun. You got to travel the country, and you got to work almost every day. So you're just getting better and better, and you're just learning how all the crowds are different, and all the towns are different. All it. I feel for the people that don't get to experience that much these days because they don't really do a lot of house shows. Man, man, we were when I was there, and I know when you were there, John, and especially Gerald, they were doing like 300 shows a year when you guys were doing. When I was there, they were still doing like 200, 250. And I
Yeah.
was on all of them. I was there like 2016, 17, and 18. I was on all the shows. I was working all the time, and I loved it, man. I loved again. I just love still to this day. I love learning about this business. When I learn something new, I get excited. Like, oh, I didn't know that, and I can use that. And back in those days when we were working a lot, and when I was with Carmella those 13 months, I learned a lot just sitting back and listening to the crowd, and I learned how to be a heater, a manager, right? Like I didn't do that before, and I feel like I have like the sleazy manager look, and I can talk, and like to me, I think that's my calling going forward in wrestling is to be a heater and a manager. It worked with Carmella. It got her to the title. She wound up becoming the WWE Women's Champion when I was with her, so it worked. And I feel like going forward in my life, the next 15 years, I could do that. I could do that anywhere and for anybody. Like I just feel like yeah. I feel like I know my role, right? Like that. It's a good role for me.
Right.
Coming in, what was that your favorite part of the business, or what part of the business did you really like? Did you like the performing part, or did you like the strategy part, or what part did you really like?
Oh, just performing. Once you get in the ring and just and figuring out, like I was saying, like how different all the crowds can be. Like one town is could be so much different from the town the next night. You might not get the same reaction you got the night before. You might have to figure out a way to get like if you're a heel. To me, like if I'm a heel, I want to be a heel. I want to get booed. That's my job. Like when these heels are coming out doing moonsaults to the floor, and I'm like, you're not going to get booed doing that. That's cool, right? Like they're not going to boo you when you're doing something cool. So when I'm a heel, I feel like just being just as dirty and sleazy and cheating as much as possible, and putting the baby faces in a bad position, and so that's what I like doing, performing and doing my job at it. If I was a baby face and I'm small, just selling and being an underdog, but like the Rocky story, you're trying to fight from underneath and you're not quitting, and yeah, I just like doing that, like the art form and performing the art form of pro wrestling. It's my favorite thing about it.
And one of the things about doing so many house shows is like the guys today don't have that advantage. And it is a huge advantage because you're able to try a million different things because you don't know what works. And, when you say that crowds are different, people don't understand that unless you've been in front of the different crowds. You work Cleveland in the afternoon, then you work Pittsburgh at night, and the crowd's completely different. One thing that works, just a short way away, a few hours difference, doesn't work in the different town. And you have to adjust when you're not working any house shows, you don't have the ability to adjust. So you have to have something planned and you have to stick with it no matter what. It kind of takes away the ability to learn how to work in front of a crowd, which is a real disadvantage to the guys today. It's harder for them today, in my opinion.
It's harder.
Yeah, I remember when Cena would work AJ on the house shows, and they did it for a couple of months. And a lot of like the smarter towns, like where there's smart wrestling fans, like let's say Philadelphia, John Cena's music would hit, and they would just boom at the building at first. So he would figure out how to turn them around by the end of the match, where they were cheering him and AJ. So they would like never call their matches because it was different every night. If we were in like Omaha, Nebraska, they're cheering John Cena and booing AJ, and it's just easy. But if we're in Chicago or Madison Square Garden or Philadelphia, one of those places where there might be smarter fans, they would cheer AJ because that's their guy. That's the underdog to John Cena to them. It doesn't matter that AJ's the heel and Cena's the babyface. But John, to me, like why they call him the greatest of all time, he would figure out a way every night, didn't matter where we were at. If he was getting booed out of the building, by the end of the match, he was getting cheered.
Yeah.
Like, it was just
James, I saw the
amazing.
same thing. I called probably more of his matches than anybody except for Michael Cole. Uh, and of course, I wrestled him a ton, leading up to, me getting out of the ring. He was amazing. He'd come out there and the crowd would try to hijack the show. And every single time he would turn that crowd however he wanted to turn them and get them exactly where he needed them to be by the end of the match. I mean, he is a magician. He's so freaking good. It's
And
hard.
that's not the easiest thing to do in our business either. Turn
No, it's
around.
not, especially when the crowd's trying to hijack the show. They want to be the show.
Yeah.
And John would sit out there and either through his promo or through his work every single night he'd get them. I would sit there watching, going, that guy is a freaking magician. I just got so much respect for John Cena because of what he can do. I mean, an unbelievable worker. People don't realize how good a worker he is.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to work with him once. We did Carmella and I against Nikki Bella and him on SmackDown. And I remember just going over the match with him, and it was just like the stuff was so easy that I wasn't nervous at all, even though I'm in the ring with the top guy in the business the last 20 years. Wasn't nervous at all. I was excited. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, this could be fun. And on my TikTok, I have this pinned story where I met John Cena at an autograph signing in 2006. I was handing out flyers for one of our local shows. I was like, I'm going to go up and say hi to him. So I went up and introduced myself. I was like, "Hey, I'm James." I was like, "I've been wrestling 4 years," and at the time, he just like won the world title, and he's he was at the very end of his big run, very beginning of his big run. And I was like, I've been wrestling 4 years. I was like, I'm gonna wrestle you one day. I just said it to him, just whatever. And he was like, "Oh, okay, see you then." So before I wrestled him in 2017, 11 years later, I said, "Hey, I just want to tell you this story. In 2006, I met you in Washington D.C. at this auto show, and I told you I was going to wrestle you one day." I said, and here we are. And he's like, "Really?" And I told him the auto show it was, and all. He goes, "Okay, I remember being there." Obviously, he didn't remember me, because he meets millions of people all the time. But he goes, "Man, that's very cool." He's like, "Thank you for sharing that story." And he was just so cool. Like, again, a great experience working with him. But like, aside from working with him, watching him do that with AJ Styles every night on the house shows, it amazed me every night. And I couldn't wait. And I would be one of those. I would stick around for the whole show. Guys were allowed to leave early when I was there. Like Cena had a dressing room meeting and say, "Hey, this business is hard. If you guys want to leave, you can." Like me, just I had that old school mentality of like, "Nah, I'm staying until the last match is over." And every night I was so amazed by that for months and months, just watching him and AJ work, and him just, if he would get booed out of the building at the beginning, just be getting cheered by the time the match was over every single time.
Yeah, and if it was 2006 when he was champion, it means he won that from me. So thanks for bringing that up, James.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure that was a nice WrestleMania payoff for you, so you probably don't remember it that harshly, right?
No, no, no. It was good. John was great,
Yeah,
and
awesome.
I knew at the time. I say I knew at the time. I didn't know at the time he'd be a 17-time world champion and movie star and all that stuff. I knew he was the guy. I never dreamed he'd be the. I didn't. If you told me that, I wouldn't have doubted it. But I don't think I would have. I certainly didn't call it. But it sure is fun to watch. He's one of the good guys in this business.
Yeah, no
John
one can.
covering you. I don't think anybody at that time could have said that John Cena is going to be a 17 timer because he's just one of those phenoms that come along once in a
Yeah,
generation.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. I remember, and you just said like the crowd wants to hijack the show, right? So I remember I was wrestling Axel on a show probably around that time, 2007 or eight, and I was the heel, he was the baby face, and I had him in a rest hold, and the crowd started chanting boring. So I'm hurrying up and trying to get him up. I said, "Fight up, fight up!" And he goes, "No." He's like, and he's teaching me while I have him in the rest hold. He goes, "No, f them. They don't work. They don't work us. We work them." He said, "Hold me, just hold me." And they kept chanting more, and then they stopped and they started clapping. So he would get up, and as he's getting up, he goes, "See, we work them; they don't work us." I was like, "Wow, that's so cool."
Yeah, I've seen old guys do that. I saw Murdoch do that. Get a chair and get in the ring and just sit in it. When Crowd tried to hijack the show, he just sat there. Just,
Yeah, yeah, we're in control, not you. So cool.
yep. And when he got done, he goes, "Okay, I'm calling this match." And people did the right thing. They booed him.
No,
So after Carmella, what was that the end of the run in WWE?
well, it got weird there for a little bit. She had the Money in the Bank contract, the briefcase, and she had me too. So essentially, she had two gimmicks, right? So they're like, "Man, we don't really have anything for you." So they like were going to release me. So you know how they do the 90-day thing. So they released me essentially in November of 2017, and then like 84 days into it, they called me. They're like, "Hey, we're going to bring you back." I'm like, "Oh, awesome." I have like 110 indie dates booked. Like, what do I guess I just cancel them all? They're like, "No, we'll like just you can do them until we bring you back or whatever." So that was in February of 2018. They brought me back. Like Carmella had the belt, and they wanted me to come back. And, like she had to like get through Asuka a couple of pay-per-views. So like they brought me back to help her beat Asuka for those couple of pay-per-views, and then she was losing the title at SummerSlam that year, and that's when my contract ended anyway. Like a couple weeks before then. So then the contract just ran out, and she went and lost the title at SummerSlam. And I always joke with her when I saw her. I said, "You know what? Once I left, you never won the title again. You ever think about that?" I just always joke with her about that. Like, but luckily for me, very fortunate, man. Like, I had a lot of memorable moments. Like when Chris Jericho put me on the list, it's it's like one of the most it's if I think the most watched moment as far as the list is concerned, when he would put people say you just made the list. So I get reminded that every day of my life. I'll be in Target and somebody will yell, "You just made the list," across the lake. And then the stuff with AJ, the stuff with Carmella, the match with Strowman, like when I do signings or I'm in public at a Walmart or a Target or mall, every day somebody reminds me of one of those moments. So I was very lucky and fortunate. It's not about the how many years you were there or the time. It's about the moments, right? Like that's what people
Exactly.
remember, the moments. And I was fortunate to have a lot of good ones, and I was very blessed to have a run at all, and and now like I run my own shows. I wrestle in the indies a lot, and I'm still doing my thing, and hopefully I'll get to do something again one day. Obviously, I would love to, but yeah, man, I just on any level, I just love doing this, and I love to perform, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else now. For absolutely.
John, did you ever make the list? Jericho's list?
I don't think I ever made the list.
I was
No.
always
Really?
disappointed I never made it either.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had, because I was always
Me too.
kind of a heel commentator to Jericho.
One time he put Tom Brady on the list, the whole city of Tampa. Like it was a great gimmick. Like
Really?
Well, I guess I was on when they put the whole town of Tampa on there.
That's right. You were on it because of that. Yeah, I kind of I need to talk to Chris about this. I need to go on I need to go on his cruise or something and make the list.
I
Make a
did.
new
I did his
list.
cruises. Those are fun, man. What a great idea. We're gonna have a wrestling cruise. And it sells out every year. And Chris has always been good to me. Always, we keep in touch all the time. And man, I hope he comes back to WWE. I don't know what he's doing. Obviously, he's not going to tell anybody. And hopefully, he comes back and finishes his career with WWE because he was so amazing for so many years there. So hopefully, that's what he does.
Yeah, and he still is. He
Yeah, it
constantly
is.
reinvents himself. He constantly is changing, and he's
Yeah,
had what an incredible career. And to dominate conversation today at this stage of his career, pretty remarkable stuff.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, people really should study what he's done, not only in the ring, but like you said, the reinvention of himself all the time. Like, oh, the list happened for like I don't know. The list probably wasn't even a year long, but people remember it because then he moved on to something else. Then he moved on to something else. Like
And
he wouldn't let.
that's how Chris does it too. I mean, the guy's brilliant when it comes to reinventing himself. And I think the majority of the fans were disappointed when he didn't bust out of that box the other night.
Yeah. So I have a question for you guys. Like Dan Housen, I know him. I like the character, but like, why don't they do vignettes for like people coming? I remember being a kid and seeing the vignettes like, oh, coming soon, Papa Shango. and you would see these cool vignettes, and you couldn't wait to see this guy. You wanted to see what he would do in the ring, what his finisher was, what he's all about. But now, correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes they just bring guys out. They expect people to know them, I guess, because of the internet or something. I don't know. I don't think, even though they were in Chicago, and Chicago is like a smarter crowd, I don't think a lot of people knew who he was. Right? Like, am I wrong to say that, or is that what it seemed like?
I don't know. Were they expecting Jericho? I'm not sure what the
Right.
reception was, or sometimes the fans just don't want to do what they're supposed to do.
I think anybody less than Jericho coming out of that box would have been a disappointment.
Well,
Yeah, I think
is that
so.
another
And
thing?
I think, Danhausen, I've worked with him some. I say work with him. I've been with him on some
Yeah.
signings and just does
He's
stuff.
a star too. That kid's a
He
star.
is.
Yeah,
That kid
very
is
entertaining.
entertaining beyond belief. He's really smart. He knows his gimmick. I saw what he did. I just saw on social media before I did this podcast with Adam Pearce. It was really entertaining. I mean,
No,
I
he's
think
very entertaining.
I think he's going to get over like $1 million there because he's so different. I tell you, I'd love to see him and R-Truth together as a tag team.
Absolutely. I had him on one of my shows, and people were so happy to meet him. And like, I guess when they do wrestling reveals, like, if you're coming out of a crate or you're taking a mask off, like reveals, like, I think the crowd wants it to be somebody that they already know and care about. When somebody takes off a mask or comes out of a crate, they want to know the character and care about them. Like, they don't. If it's somebody they kind of don't know, like, I don't, it's probably hard for them to react to it, I would imagine.
I tell you, the biggest pop they could have had coming out of the crate if they'd done the Shockmaster gimmick.
Oh my goodness, that'd be great. Get Fred out there and have him stumble through the box.
Yeah.
The story with that is he tripped over a
instantly.
board. He tripped over a board, right? They had a board underneath.
Right.
Yeah, and he fell. Poor guy.
Yeah, they put an extra board or something through there, and he fell right head over heels. Nothing he could do about it.
But more people remember that than if the board wasn't there and he didn't do that.
Right,
maybe we wouldn't be talking about it right now, right?
I told Fred.
and John ribs him all the time about selling that headpiece.
That's right. Yeah, he sells his the original Shockmaster headpiece every single autograph weekend.
He should.
He sold it about 3,000 times.
Hey,
And I told him this. You'll love this. I said, Berkeley, the timekeeper, is his son there in WWE. I said Shockmaster's biggest mistake was not the wall; it was Berkeley. I've told Berkeley that a bunch of times too. I finally got to tell Fred that one day. We're driving back from somewhere and we were riding together. I told him that he enjoyed it.
That's a good one. Yeah, you're good with the one-liners, the quick-witted one-liners. You're one of the best at it.
It's when you got good material, it's easy. Just sit back and watch. It kind of comes to you.
I just wait for it.
So, James, I've worked a ton with you in your different independents and what all you're doing. Man, they are really well run. And by the way, I've bashed me and Mr. Brisco both have bashed the Baltimore Commission. It's a new commission now. So that big
Is it?
it is a new commission now. That big fish head ain't there no more. The big dummy ain't there. No, they're nice as they can be, Jerry. Nice,
Wow.
friendly as they can be.
Yeah, the Pat Pinella you're talking about, the guy that you like to call Fish, he was there for 30 years or whatever. Oh, yeah, maybe even longer. Yeah, he was bad. I had some battles with him as a promoter.
Everybody did. He was horrible.
He did not like John and I at all.
Oh, he didn't like us at all. He like us at all.
Yeah, he wasn't very fun to be either. And I'm like, I try to be the nicest guy in the world, but man, he would make it so hard for you. And I'm like, why are you making this hard for you? You're here to like steal my money.
That's right.
Exactly.
Steal money. That's all you're doing. Your blood pressure could be 400 over 300, and they're going to let you wrestle. They don't care. They just want their money. They want your money.
But now it is ran better, and they're more willing to work with you. It's definitely way less of a headache now that he's not there anymore.
Yeah, Timmy Wyatt used to get the money when the big fish head was there, and he'd go and he'd leave the building and come back right when the shows ended, so that they'd have to wait for the whole show to get their money because they wanted to get their money. They'd leave before the show started. They wouldn't even watch the show. They would get their money and leave before the show started.
Yeah.
But Timmy would torture them. It was awesome.
Yeah, and he would get hot so easily. The guy you're talking about, Pat, he would. You could get him hot pretty easily, and I would just on purpose just to pop myself. Like I would, do whatever just to like say, hey, like I don't have a checkbook, I have to give you cash, and he would make us write him checks for the taxes, I'm like, I just got to give you cash. I would hand him a bunch of cash. Oh, I can't take this. Just I knew it would bother him. Just stuff like that.
Whatever happened to Fishhead?
He they essentially the allegedly made him retire. Like he didn't want to retire, but
Good.
they made him. They made him retire.
I can see that.
Yeah,
He was messing up
yeah.
too much. He was messing up too much. So they're like, "Hey, we can have you respectfully retire, or we can retire you for it." Is the alleged story I heard about how how his days were done.
Well, he's an alleged fishhead idiot. How about that?
A lot of people,
Alleged.
a lot of people felt that way for sure.
Oh, he was such a pain. He's the worst one we ever dealt with in the whole world.
In the whole world,
the whole world.
The
New
whole
York
world
was great. Other states were great. He was the only one that was really bad.
I used to tell
He
him
just
that.
made it difficult. He just made it hard on everybody to do business.
That's right. Yeah.
And
So tell us, how did you get involved in running your shows? John's told me several times that he enjoys coming up there and working with you. Plus, it's a short drive for him, so
That's right. It's a short drive.
yeah, so in 2009,
you make it worth the drive. I got to get that there.
yeah,
That's right. I should have had my Brisco shirt on.
so my company started in 2009. I didn't I owned it back then. There was some other guy was running it, and he ran it for a couple of years, like 2012, and he was going to stop running it. Wasn't making any money, and I said, "Well, what do you really own? You own the banners, the ring, the belts." And he said, "Yeah." So we came up with a price, and I just bought it all from him. I was like, "I'm going to try this, right? Just something I've never tried before." I was like, I'm gonna try to do this." And so that was 2012. So I've been running it for 14 years now. And I've just figured it out along the way. Like, and I'm still obviously learning how to do it. It's a never stop learning experience. Um, but yeah, I got my promoter's license back in 2012, renew it every year, and I'll also have like a Pennsylvania promoter's license, which they're way less harsh than Maryland up in Pennsylvania too. Yeah, and again, I enjoy doing that too. That's another thing I get to learn about the business, how to promote shows, how to book shows. Um, and I have a great time doing it. I love it, and been doing that 14 years now, and luckily I do pretty good at it, and we're running like 30 shows a year. For an independent, that's pretty good. Most independents run once a month or every other month, so we do like
For 30 shows a year, that's phenomenal.
yeah, like 3 shows a month essentially. Yeah.
And you do well with them. Everyone I've been to, you've filled the buildings. Some buildings are bigger than others, but I did with this weekend was a really good crowd. But everyone I've been to, you guys have put a lot of people in the buildings.
Yeah, it's yeah, we just man, and it's not easy. Like a lot of people don't know what independent wrestling is. So you're constantly trying to get new people to know who you are. And yeah, we're doing good, man. I want to do better. Obviously, I'm not content. I'm never content. I always want to do better. But yeah, we're doing pretty good right now as far as independent wrestling is concerned, running shows. And we just had a real big one. John was there on Sunday. That was one of our better ones. We had the Hardy Boys on the show. We had a convention before the wrestling, which I guess we had like 30 guests there. Wrestling legends,
Yeah.
Yeah, people that you could see, on TV now and in the past, and then the Hardy Boys were the headliner, and like we were talking about earlier, they're just such a draw.
Yeah.
And if you promote them right, people will come. Like if you can promote them in the middle of a cornfield, as long as you promote it correctly, they're going to come to the cornfield to see them.
It's unreal how popular the Hardys still are.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, they hit every demographic. The guys like them, the girls like them, the kids like them. They hit every demographic, and those guys are just such humble, awesome guys. I love working with them. I love being around them, and hopefully we still have the Hardy Boys around for a few more years.
Let's hope so.
The independents, I've never seen the independents better than they are right now. In the 90s, when we had the Attitude Era, I didn't think the independents were that hot. Of course, I didn't go work hardly any of them. We were working all the time. But now every independent show I go to does well. I mean, have you ever seen the business this hot?
For independents, no. I think we're in it started in like 2018. We're like a boom period of it for independent wrestling. Yeah, and it trickles down. Like if WWE's real hot, like it's WrestleMania season, if they're real hot at the time, it trickles down to the indies. Everybody's gonna be hot at the time because everybody's interested in wrestling. Like because they're interested in what's happening in WWE. So it does trickle down, and you've probably been very blessed to just like only the good promoters are probably booking you, the ones that can, right? Like you're not going to the ones where there's 50, 60, because there still are those where there's 50, 60 people in the crowd and it's in the middle of nowhere and no one's really making any money. They still very much exist, but there's probably not hasn't been a time where there's as many good indies as there is now, for sure.
Yeah, and as much talent. I mean, it's hard to believe. I go to these independent shows, and there are guys that the mainstream fans have never heard of. These are really good wrestlers, guys and girls. Really good wrestlers. I guess it's because there's so many schools and all the stuff that's going on, but there's so much talent in the world today as far as professional wrestling, and so many opportunities that were never there before. I mean, it's a really good time, and with WWE just running, your big towns without running live events, there's a real opportunity here for some people to run shows and make a lot of money, and you have people doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's a lot of good schools. I mean, like Booker T has a school in Houston, Devon Dudley has a school in Orlando. There's, like
Yeah,
Tyler
and out of
Breeze,
those two schools, Booker School's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only thing I wish was Devon was here to hear me say that. I'm just kidding.
I think either way, you're in good hands.
I love giving Devon a hard time.
Yeah, Devon's great. But yeah, like I always told, like if somebody asks me advice to get into business, I always say, go to a school where the people running the school, like a Booker T or a Devon, have had success in the business. Go learn from someone that has been there and done that. Don't go to a school where the people running it really haven't, been successful in the business. They like go to somewhere where you can learn from people that have. That's just my opinion and my advice that I give the people if they ask me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's just you don't have to be a great player to be a great coach, but it does help. It does help to have been a player. And too many times you see guys that didn't make it, and you just kind of wonder, what are they teaching these guys? What do you know that they're gonna? And some guys can do it. I mean, some guys don't have to be great wrestlers to be great coaches, but
Right.
I think it does help to have.
It's like football to me, John. I mean, there's great football players that are terrible coaches, and there's average football players make great coaches.
That's right.
I think it's just that mindset, because there's a lot of guys, that I've seen out there coaching too, that are in these schools that weren't great athletes in the ring, but they always had that backstage mentality, and I think they're blessed with something special, and that's the schools you should seek out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, James, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you joining us and getting on the call with us, and Mr. Briscoe actually making it on today and kind of on time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to you guys. We'll do it anytime. I appreciate and respect both of you. Thank you very much for having me. And John, I'm sure I'll see you soon. And Jerry, start doing more signings so I can see you more too.
Okay, I'll try.